Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures, and today we're going to be doing another episode, part 28 of our Jurassic World Evolution Accurate Dinosaur mod collection. We take a look at a bunch of different mods people have been making and compare them to their real-life fossil counterparts. And today, we haven't got a pack going. Next one's going to be a pack, but today we've got a little bit of an assortment going on, so that's pretty awesome. So we should probably just get straight into it. So we're going to be starting off with Barillium, which is a really cool dinosaur by Netraptor and Ken's Creative Art. So yeah, really nice animal, and let's release it. So he's going to go for a feed by the looks of it. Of course he is. There we are. Let's get a wonderful look at our guy here, and I really love the color pattern on this guy. Both the orange and the white stripes going down. But anyway, Barillium is a iguanodontian dinosaur that was first described as a species of iguanodon, but was then split a little while after that. It was described as by Richard Ledecker in 1888, and was its scientific name, or Dawsoni, was honoring the discoverer Charles Dawson. And 2010, though, it was named as a separate genus, Barillium, which is derived from the Greek word heavy and the Latin ilium, which is the bone of the hips here, one of the bones of the hips. And it was also later described to another genus, Turrillium, which was a synonym of Barillium, and was known from two partial skeletons from the mid-Vangarian age Lower Cretaceous of England, so the early Cretaceous, so about 140 million years ago, with a couple of different specimens. And contemporary of this guy was once thought to be a species of iguanodon, Hystelospinus, was another animal that lived with it, so a couple of other iguanodontians living with him. And it was pretty robust, as you can see here. It's clearly based with the iguanodon, but was clearly having that kind of shape going. It was estimated to be about 8 meters long, or 26 feet in length. And it's usually separated from Hystelospinus on the basis of its vertical and pelvic characteristics and size and build. And because if you compare the ischium, or the hips of Hystelospinus, it's very Camptosaurus-like and very robust, especially with this vertebrae of Camptosaurus, and a lot bigger and thicker, while Hystelospinus has long, narrow, and neural spines. So that's the main difference between them. Still a really nice animal, regardless. So we'll watch him have an eat. I like the blue on the neck. I think it gives a little bit more color. I really like how this came out. I think it came out wonderfully. Watch him do his thing. Let me just move. Just trying to keep cool in the summer heat. So forgive me for any fan noise in the background. But it shouldn't be too bad. I got the noise cancelling on. This wonderful fellow. I'm a really big fan of how this guy came out. I really like the colours on him. I like the eyes. He really gives a lot of character. The iguanodon in Jurassic World Evolution really came out well. What did you do with your tail, man? That was funky. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next animal. We've got another hadrosaur, or another ornithopod. We have got Lambusaurus by LA Studios. You guys know and love him. So he's going to go for a drink, I assume, by the looks of it. Let's watch him go for a drink. Oh yeah, here's a wonderful look at our Lambusaurus here. So, Lambusaurus, which means a lamb-based lizard, is a genus of hadrosaurid dinosaur that lived during the Campanian stage of the late Cretaceous, or about 75 million years ago, across North America. And it seems to get this name because of its distinct hollowed crest, and it's quite well known for it, and is best known because it kind of resembles a hatchet. And there's been several species named, and the most popular one, as we can see here, is Lambusaurus lambi. So it was first named by Lawrence Lambie in 1902, and over 20 years later, the modern name was coined in 1923 by William Parkes in honor of Lambie, so kind of based on the better preserved specimen. So it was on a way to honor the discoverer, Lawrence Lambie. And it's a very complicated taxonomic history because, as we can see through its ontogeny, it seems like a lot of old species that were described as Lambusaurus just seem to be growth stages, as the crests kind of developed as they become older, and there to be both age differences and sexual dimorphism, or difference between the males and the females. This is very, very interesting. And it's also closely related to the better-known Cardiptorix, and comes from slightly older rocks, as well as least well-known genera such as Titan and Hippocanthrosaurus, which is very, very interesting. So we know quite a lot about Lambusaurus. These could be potentially up to 2 species, but there was also another one that was described, Magnipolia, or Big Paul, a really, really big specimen of a Lambusaurine. Really, really cool animal. So, yeah, what's the 2 species? The 2 species, I believe, is 3 species. There's Lambii and Macrocysetaceus, named by Sternberg in 1935, and Clavitalis, but I think that one's kind of bunk. There's mainly 2, that's what we'd say. So, best known, the species best known is described here, Lambusaurus lambi, and it's quite similar to Cardiptorix. As you can see, it's got this really cool head adornment, and really has this bit sticking out. It almost looks like a thumbs up, which is really, really cool. And like other hadrosaurids, it could move on both 2 and 4 feet, and there's been footprints to really prove this. And it had a long, stiffened tail that had ossified tendons, or tendons that had turned into bone, to help keep its shape. And the hands had 4 fingers, lacking the innermost finger, and the second, third, and fourth finger were bunched together in hooves, which is really interesting. And the 5th one was used to manipulate objects, kind of like a thumb. You can kind of see it most exaggerated in things like Iguanodon, but they would be able to use to grasp things, which is really cool. But the most distinctive features, you can see its crest, which was different in the 2 well-known species. So the species here, Lambii, had this kind of hatchet shape with this big bit going out here and the little bit going out. And the other species, Magnicrotalis, I believe you pronounced that, it's kind of got much more of a round handle. It's much bigger and rounder, goes like that. It doesn't really have that weird shape to it. It's just really big and round, which is really, really interesting. But large adult Lambusaurus have been estimated to be about 7 meters long, and or 23 feet, and there's impressions of scales that have been known from several specimens, so we know their scale pattern, which is very, very interesting. A specimen that has been assigned to Lambie had a thin skin with uniform polygonal scales, which was distributed in no particular order across the neck, torso, and tail, and similar has been found for the other species, Magnicrotalis, I believe. That's really, really cool. So, as I mentioned, Lambusaurus is a member of Lambusaurini, so that includes animals such as Magnipolia, Velifrons, Cardiptorix, and Olorotitan, so animals like that. So its own group that's split from the Parasaurolophony, so that includes animals like Parasaurolophus and Chinosaurus and animals related to that, kind of split off in these two groups, which is very, very interesting. That seems to be the most recent consensus. And it seems like other hadrosaurids, they're really, really cool. They managed to develop these ability to grind up plants. Not in the same way a mammal would, but it's very analogous to it. So they would have teeth batteries that they kind of replaced and contains hundreds of teeth that they replace and use the up and down motion to kind of quote-unquote chew. But it wouldn't be like side to side like mammal chewing. It'd be up and down. So it's very, very interesting. And Lambusaurus lambi and the bow species are known from the Dinosaur Park Formation and are found with animals such as Centrosaurus, Styracosaurus, and Chasmosaurus, also Prosaurolophus, Parasaurolophus, Cardiptorix, Edmontonia, and Yorkcephalus, and also Gorgosaurus, everyone's favorite tyrannosaur. And the Dinosaur Park Formation has been interpreted as kind of a low floodplain setting of rivers with very swampy and marine conditions compared to because of the Western Ontario Seaway. And the climate was much warmer than present-day Alberta or northern US, with conifers and all sorts of animals like that. And the anomaly similar two species were separated by time, so I believe that the Cardiptorix is found in the lower thirds, and then Lambi in the upper third, and the second species, Magnicritasis, remains rare and present at the very top. So it would have been Cardiptorix, Lambii, and then Magnicritalis right at the top, and would have been quite rare. So it's very, very interesting. Really, really cool animal. And LA Studios always does a wonderful job with his models, and it looks very, very nice. And watch him have a drink. It's been a while. I think one of the first species mods, and I remember covering, was a Lambusaurus, and it's nice to see him come back again. Very, very interesting. Did a really, really wonderful job on these animals. And look at how wonderful he looks. I think the blue came up nicely. Maybe if I would swap it with red, because I think red always goes well with black. And it seems to be mostly black, but I think you can change it with the different skins. But that's whatever, that's just the base. It's a blue today. But now we're going to move on to a really, really interesting animal. Just described, actually. We have got by Ogi Bear. Well, it's a Yogi without the Y. Why Ogi Bear? So we've got Australotitan by Ogi Bear, and I'm really excited to show this guy off because this is a very, very recent description. So I'm excited to get stuck into this one. So let's watch him have a go. So look at this very interesting fellow. So this is Australotitan cooperensis, which was an extinct genus of titanosaurian sauropod that lived during the Cenomanian Tenorian of the late Cretaceous of what is now southern central Queensland in Australia. So one of the only really big not late Cretaceous, Australian sauropods, and it's really big too. So we'll watch him do his thing. So Australotitan was discovered in 2005 in the Whitten Formation in southeast Queensland, and it was discovered by Sandy McKenzie, who discovered it in his honours land in 2004, and the bones and stuff was prepared in the Australian Queensland Museum, which I've been, very cool place. And the holotype was nicknamed Cooper, which I think is really cool influence of how it got its last name Cooperensis. Was the name of the specimen, and was just recently described in 2001. So not 2001, 2021. So really, only a couple months ago, if that. So it's a very cool new animal, and described from a bunch of different parts of the skeleton, such as the humerus, the ulna, the pubes and the ischia, and also another 3 specimens were found, including one named George, which would have a fractured femur, all sorts of rib material, and so there is quite a few known from it. So there's a few other specimens to refer to Cooperensis. So very, very interesting. And it seems like several of the bones on the holotype were also trampled and compressed during deposition, so how it was put down. So let's watch him go have his food. This was actually a result of multiple smaller sauropods walking all over the specimen, very interestingly. And the trackway was also found. It was about 100 meters long, or 330 feet. And A. cooperensis was described in 2021 by Scott A. Hocknell, Melville Winson, and a bunch of other people, Vlad Sharsky and Robin McKenzie in 2021. The generic name of Australotitan means Australis, which means southern, because it is found in Australia. It would have lived in Gondwana. And the Greek word Titan, which refers to the Greek mythological Titans, which is obviously a play on the dinosaur's large size. And the species name Cooperensis refers to Cooper Creek, near where the holotype was found, and was the nickname given to holotype. So basically the nickname for this animal before it was described was Cooper, which is very, very interesting. And very, very huge too. So the description makes it the largest known Australian dinosaur. The thigh bone was about 2.1.46 meters long, about 7 feet, and is similar in size to animals such as Dreadnoughtus and Fuclongosaurus, though it is smaller than Pagonotitan, and is pretty much describing, the authors gave it a really, found it hard to give it a really good estimate, and since it's notoriously difficult to get reliable results, but I believe the estimates have put it pretty similar to Dreadnoughtus in weight, which is still a very huge dinosaur in like the 40, 50, 60 ton range. Very, very big animals. And also a little bit smaller than Pagonotitan, but it's neither here nor there. And it was also recovered as a titanosaur, so one of these really, really late living groups. And seemed to form a clade with other animals such as Diamantinosaurus, and other Witten Formation animals such as Wetonotitan and Savanosaurus, and also a bunch of other Gondwanian titanosaurs from South America and Africa as well. And this places it in the clade Diamantinosauria, which is a group of like these really late basal, or like Australian and Antarctican and all that, those late titanosaurs. So a very, very interesting animal, I think. And I really love how it colors. This is based on the reconstruction that came out with the paper, and I think it came out quite well. Though most titanosaurs seem to be a lot more forward-leaning and taller. But I just think it's still a really nice how it came out. Yeah, and the feet are wrong, but whatever. I think this came out quite well. So yeah, I'm really a big fan of the colours as well. I like the yellow and the splotch patterns. I think it came out really, really nicely. So that was done by OG Bear, a good big man himself. So let's see. He's going to go for a drink. I think he's going for a feed now. Really, really awesome. So now we're going to move on to a couple little guys. So I believe these were ported. This was ported from, I think, Jurassic Park the game, or Jurassic World Alive. I think something like that. Not sure. But this was ported by Nanolacensis. So we're going to have a look at Cardiptorix. So we're going to have to wait till this guy gets over here to get a good look at him. But anyway, that's not a problem at all. I had no issues with waiting for a cutie like this. Unless he's gone. make sure I don't want to lose him. There he is. See, look at that. He is. He stopped for me at the perfect time. Look at this wonderful little fella. So, this is Cardiptorix, which means tail feather, as you can see. Got wonderful tail feathers. It was a genus of peacock-sized theropods that came from the Aptian stage of the early Cretaceous, so about 124.6 million years ago. And you can see it was very feathered and bird-like, to the point where some thought it was a bird, but it turns out it's a dinosaur. And there's been two species described, Cardiptorix zoni and dongi, both in 1998 and 2000, and were first discovered in the Ixian Formation in Liaoning, China. And very interesting, it has a bunch of different features similar to both birds and Maniraptorans. Very, very awesome. See, it's got quite a boxy snout, as you can see here. Yeah, and these short teeth, stiffened tail with few vertebrae, as you see, like birds and other oviraptorids. Also has quite primitive pelvis and that. It had a mix of features that you'd think of dinosaur and bird. So since it was, I believe, an oviraptorid or Cardiptoridae, on its way to becoming an oviraptorosaur, it has a mixed trait of dinosaurs and a mixed traits of birds. So I think it's very, very interesting. And it was estimated to be about 78 centimeters or 2.5 feet long and about 2.2 kilograms or 4.8 pounds. That was the first species zongi, but dongi is slightly larger at 80 centimeters or 2.6 feet or 2.3 kilograms or 5 pounds. So one of its big claims to fame is its pennaceous feathers. You can see here, lots of barbs and things. They were arranged kind of on the wing feathers of the second finger, though most likely it might have been at the wing, but that's what we really know from. So I think it's very interesting that we have them on the hand. And no fossils of zoni actually preserve any secondary feathers on the forearm, like Dromaeosaurs, so that actually might be the case, though it could be artificial things. So I think really cool. And then we see another tail fan here, as we can see. It really gives it a really nice shape to it. I think it looks really, really nice. And due to the shortness of the feathers and how it was only on the fingers, it may not have been able to fly, but would have probably still used them for potentially display or anything like that. And the rest of the body was kind of covered in a downy coat. And it's also believed to be an omnivore, because there's been two specimens that have been found with gastroliths, and in some herbivorous dinosaurs, the avian Spinosaurus and modern birds, they were found in the gizzards, so it's believed to be omnivorous and had gizzards preserved. And all found in the Ixian Formation of China, where they lived with animals such as Dailong and Spinosaurus, also Uteranus and lots of other animals like that. It seems to be a primitive member of the basal or primitive members of Oviraptoridae, usually, where it's related to animals such as Incisivsaurus, like a later relative, and others can even consider it's not a theropod at all and consider it as a Maniraptoran, as a flightless bird. And that really is kind of depends how you define bird. Very, very interesting. So this was kind of on its way to become oviraptorids such as Anzu, Oviraptor, Citypuddy, and Gigantoraptor, animals like that. So it's a very, very interesting little guy. And we are going to watch him have his little drink, because he's very much a little cutie. Let him have a drinky. And I really love seeing feathered dinosaurs in Jurassic World Evolution. I can't wait to see some in Jurassic World Evolution 2. That's going to be awesome. I want to see some feathered dinosaurs. Also some pycnofibers on the pterosaurs. That'll be awesome. But yeah, moving into the same pack, this is a bit of a twofer, so 2 for 1. We have got another feathered dinosaur. Isn't it like Christmas? We have got Cardiptorix, which is very, very Posterus, I believe you pronounce that. What's he going to do now? So his name means Chinese beautiful feather. So Cardiptorix. So is a compsognathid theropod dinosaur from the Ixian Formation as well. From about 24.6 million years ago, so the same sort of time as Cardiptorix. and is quite large for a compsognathid. Considering most compsognathus, like Compsognathus, is pretty small, no more than a meter long, this guy got about 2.37 feet, 2.37 meters, or about 7.78 feet long. So it is quite large for a... Yeah, let's get a look at your eyes standing there. Look at you, wonderful guy. Really, really came out beautifully. And there was actually, in 2012, an even larger specimen was reported, so it seemed to get quite big. So the type's species, Spinosaurus gigas, was named and described in 2007, which name means beautiful feather. And the holotype was discovered in the Laling province of the Quicksand Formation about 125 million years ago. And the second specimen was larger, with about 10% longer, with feet about a third bigger, and all that. Really, really interesting. So, like other theropods, it was a bipedal predator, and it seems to estimated to be about 20 kilograms, so quite a big compsognathid, with relatively long arms and hind limbs that were longer overall, which might be related to its size, may allow it to be a bit of a better hunter. Very, very interesting. So as I mentioned, it is in Compsognathidae, so it's related to animals such as Compsognathus, Sinosauropteryx, and Juvenator, also Ocaraptor, though due to some recent stuff, that may be a paraphyletic group, or they may just be a group of animals that are unrelated to each other, or potentially even juveniles of other species such as Cardiptorix, for example. But that's very new research and not that well, it is not that, I wouldn't say it isn't well supported, but it's new research, so you got to be skeptical all the time. You know, big trends, big claims require lots of evidence. But we know a lot about this guy as well, so it seems we know about his paleobiology. And one specimen was found with a Spinosaurus, I believe it was part of its prey, and was found in its stomach. And also, there was the Dromaeosaur leg, and there is also a bunch of different stones, like gastroliths, that were found, like similar to those in Cardiptorix, also Baryonyx as well, which seems to be very, very interesting. And the second specimen also has other several meals in it. It had a Confucianus, which is a really small bird in its stomach, or a really basal bird as well. Also, it had some scapula believed to belong to a 1.5 meter long or 4.9 feet long herbivorous ornithischian, so potentially something like Psittacosaurus, which is very, very interesting. And even in 2011, there was a specimen that believed to have Microraptor. There was a specimen of Microraptor that reported to have a bird in its stomach, which seemed to be proof that it was arboreal, and it denied it when the issue was Cardiptorix was likely cursorial, and was yet still quite capable of catching birds. So it seemed that it may have been quite good at catching and jumping animals. That even reminds me of something similar to like caracals or servals, like being able to jump up and catch birds, which I think is very, very interesting. But a really nice animal regardless. And I think it came out really, really nice here. Really nice texture. He's going to go for a drink. Wonderful fellow. And how can you not love feathered dinosaurs? I think they just add so much character and make them look so much more realistic. Really, really awesome. So yeah, now we're going to be on to a not dinosaur by our favorite person, Mr. Trudon, who made Posterus. So yeah, that didn't really go well in the light, but we'll watch him have a run. So look at this wonderful guy here. So this is Posterus. So it's an extinct genus of not a dinosaur. It's a Rawasuchiid reptile. So it's a relative of crocodiles and the Pseudasuchians, which is the line of archosaurs that include modern crocodilians. Also, so it's more closely related to saltwater crocodile than it is to a Tyrannosaurus. So very, very interesting. And was named, refers to Post Quarry, which is the place in Texas to where the type species was found, and was one of the apex predators of its ecosystem because it lived in the late Jurassic and was larger than any of the small dinosaurs at the time, so things like Coelophysis, and was most likely a big hunter, kind of the T-Rex before T-Rex, feeding on Dicynodonts and many other large animals that lived with it, including prosauropods, things like that. And it's a pretty big animal. The skeleton of Posterus was quite large. It reached a total body length of about 4 to 5 meters, or 13 to 16 feet. And it had extremely short forelimbs, and as you can kind of see here, it's a bit exaggerated. But in very small hands, because originally Posterus was thought of as being a quadruped, but turns out it's actually much more bipedal, considering the evidence. So yeah, one of the largest carnivores of late Jurassic. So adults would reach 1.2 or 3 feet 9 inches in height at the highest point of their body, and may have ranged between 250 and 300 kilograms, or 550 to 660 pounds. And as we can see here, it's got all sorts of cool osteoderms on it. It really gives it a unique look. So the skull of this guy is also about 55 centimeters in length and 21 centimeters broad and deep. So it seems to also have a Jacobson's organ, which is a olfactory sensory organ that sometimes referred to as a sixth sense. So lots of snakes have it, humans have it. It's able to better detect like pheromones and things. And there's actually a complete tooth that was found from Posterus that's about 7 centimeters long, and also possessed heterodonty teeth. So that means each tooth was different in size and shape from each other. So you could see like the teeth here. There's like almost like pseudo canines going on, which is very, very interesting. And it actually was weird because the lower jaw had over 30 teeth, and the replacement activity was different from that of crocodiles. Since the ripped replacement tooth didn't directly fit into the pulp cavity of the old tooth, but grew within reabsorption of the old tooth was complete. So that's very, very interesting. And was described and found in 1980 in Texas, but there have been remains kind of found all across the US, found in Arizona, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Texas. So that's where a lot of them have been found. And it lived in a tropical environment with warm region with ferns and all sorts of different animals. Lived in the Docom group from the late Jurassic. So it would have lived with animals like Zachanthus and the rivers, and also a bunch of different animals such as Dismatosuchus, Trilophosaurus, Rudiodon, Leptosuchus, so all sorts of those really weird early archosaurs like Aidosaurs and Phytosaurs that lived with it. So yeah, very, very interesting animal, and would have been that apex predator of that ecosystem, feeding on large animals. So yeah, really, really wonderful model here. I think it came out rather wonderfully. So you can see the teeth there. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next animal. We got one by our favorite Hyper SGYT, who did pretty much most of the work on that pack that we did a while ago. Very interesting animal. We have got Tariskosaurus. Very, very interesting little man here. So this guy is a little Barillium, so related to animals such as Udbugosaurus and Cardiptorix. He's from the late Cretaceous of France and was found in 1988 with an upper jawbone, and very, very interesting. Let's see if we can get it to stop. There we are. Wonderful little fellow we got here. Look at him. Isn't he great? So it's found in the late Cretaceous, and a lot of the fossils were referred to like Megalosaurus. But it turns out this guy was then described in 1991 as Tariskosaurus salvaensis or salvacurus, which was this name is derived from the Tariske or the Tarisco, which is a devouring monster from Spanish folklore. And Saurus obviously refers to reptile. But yeah, the holotype of this guy was found in the Fluvian beds from the Lower Campanian, so about 70 million years ago, I believe. So it consists of about a thigh bone that's about 22 centimeters long, and also contains a couple vertebrae. So it wasn't a particularly huge animal. Some fossils of this have also been referred to this genus. So the largest estimates have been put about 3 meters long, or 3.1 meters long, so I believe it's about 10 feet, 90 kilograms, and a 98 centimeters high at the hips. So that would actually make it one of the smallest abelisaurs known, which is very, very cool. And it's been placed in Abelisauridae in 1991, and it seems to be the only known abelisaur from the northern hemisphere, apart from Baedesuchus, which is from the Maastrichtian of the Netherlands. So it's very weird what's going on there. So maybe there was a group of abelisaurs that live in the late Cretaceous up there, even though they were mostly restricted to the southern places, such as South America and Africa. Still really, really awesome animal. So yeah, now we're going to move on to a really new find as well, another new dinosaur. This was done by Deaf and Dunn. Very, very cool little guy here. So we've got Udbugosaurus. Oh, that kind of went weird, but anyway, we'll talk about him. So this is another really recent discovery. This is Udbugosaurus, which is a genus of Cardiptorix, so it's related to animals such as Cardiptorix and Giganotosaurus and animals like that. It's from the late Cretaceous of the Bistiki Formation in Uzbekistan, and the type species is Udbugosaurus uzbekistanensis, which is a very, very interesting name. And I believe it holds the honor from the first dinosaur named from Uzbekistan. So it's very, very interesting. So it was originally found in the 1980s with the holotype, which was a left maxilla, which is part of the jaw. He's going to go for food, I think. He seems to be all hungry. Well, no, he's going for... No, he is going for... So we'll stop and talk about him when he gets there. That's interesting. But, they'll just... We'll have a look at him while he's eating anyway. We'll just talk about him. Anyway, let's carry on. Look at this wonderful guy. But, yeah. He was, the holotype was deemed significant, so it was taken to, the State Geological Museum of Uzbekistan, and was rediscovered in 2019. And 2 other additional specimens have been found, including a jugal and a right in the maxilla as well. And isolated teeth has also been found to show similarities to the Udbugosaurus, which actually either belongs to it or another Carcharodontosaur. And then the species and genus was named in 2021 by Taka et al., honoring the 15th century Termid Sultan, who and the scientist Ulugh Beg, and the country it was discovered. So honoring a lot of people. It was a pretty big animal, it seems. The body length of Udbugosaurus was estimated to be about 7.5 to 8 meters, or 25 to 26 feet in length, and weigh over 1,000 kilograms, or 2,200 pounds, so over a ton. And in terms of its taxonomy, it seems to be closely related as a Carcharodontosaur. So it seems to be more closely related to animals such as Neovenator, Simonopter, Acrocanthosaurus, earlier kind of Carcharodontosaurs before we reach things like Carcharodontosauridae. So very, very, or Carcharodontosaurini, I mean, actually. But yeah, very, very interesting. So it's in that early group. And a little bit of its paleontology or paleobiology as well, very interesting. So it seemed to coexist in the Vesicae Formation alongside other carnivorous theropod, such as the Tyrannosaurid Timon and also the Dromaeosaurid Isomirus. And due to its size, it's believed to be the apex predator of its ecosystem. And it actually shows that, in fact, the Cardiptorix were actually still the dominant carnivore instead of Tyrannosaurs at the later Tenorian, so at least in Asia during the Tenorian. So that would be the mid-Cretaceous, I believe, or mid to late Cretaceous. So it shows this kind of last big mega predators before Tyrannosaurs started to take over. So yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, we watch him have his food. Very, very nice guy. I really like how the colours came out on this. I like the red and the grey go together quite well. Well, I think the arms are a little bit big, since it's based on Herrerasaurus. Very, very interesting. Just going to go for a drink. No, we'll just leave it at that. Really, really interesting guy that we got going on. We'll have a look at him while he's in the light. Look at him in the light. Very, very wonderful. You can see he looks quite nice. But anyway, we're going to move on to our last animal. So we've got a replacement. We've got everyone's favorite T-Rex killer. Hopefully I don't anger some people. We have got a really new Spinosaurus. This was done by JWE. We have got the definitive 2021 edition. So this is very, very interesting. Bet it's going to go for fish. That's what I think. Look at him go. He looks kind of goofy when he runs, but it's nice to have a more accurate Spinosaurus. Very big fan. So let's have a look at this wonderful guy. So we can see Spinosaurus, as we know, everyone's favorite big bad, from the late Cretaceous of North Africa during the Cenomanian, or Upper Tenorian, so about 99 to 93 million years ago. I don't need to go over that, but I want to go over its anatomy here. So we can see this is much more similar to how someone like Chris Masner, another different interpretation of Spinosaurus. As we can see, it's kind of normally depicted with an M shape, but we can see another different interpretation of the spine where it kind of goes like a D shape rather. And we can also see the interpretation of a much more swan-like neck. So a lot of this is a kind of controversial as well, because it could be vertebra from another genus, Cyclomastosaurus. So what this implies is that Spinosaurus kind of had a very S-shaped neck, almost like a bird. And it would have been able to use this to better grab fish. Seems to be another adaptation for that. Yeah, really, really interesting as well. And we can also see the very long face he has, which he used to catch fish. And he's also got some lips as well, very interesting. And another really big thing that happened was the tail of Spinosaurus, which recently got a really, really big makeover with this long paddle-like shape, which really propelled Spinosaurus as being one of the very semi-aquatic dinosaurs, which is very, very awesome, and being a fish predator. And there's even more research, such as the bones of Spinosaurus being very solid and very, very solid and not full of air. So it seems that would have helped them dive. So it seems to be all these adaptations showing us the first kind of real semi-aquatic or even becoming very aquatic dinosaurs, which we believed was thought was possible. This was impossible, but still really, really nice to see Spinosaurus getting even wackier and weirder than we thought it was, and I think it just deserves it because it's a very, very awesome animal. So yeah, let's watch him eat. I really like the colours, like the orange and the black. I think it comes out really nicely. You can see his arms there. There's been some debate whether it's quadrupedal or not. Most likely not quadrupedal. Most likely still a biped. But like almost anything with Spinosaurus is controversial. And also seems to be either... And also another debate is whether it's a pursuit predator or whatever. But yeah, a really, really interesting dinosaur. And I think it's really captured how weird and wacky it looked. And really showing how big it was as well, being up to like 15 meters long. So longest theropod known. So yeah, very, very awesome. We'll watch him have his drink. And I love this interpretation. A really nice spine. Really, really awesome job, Jasurba. Did a wonderful job. So yeah, I believe once he's finished his drink like that, this would be a great place to end the video. So yeah, let me back out of here. So yeah, I really, really, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified when I upload anything. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. And bye-bye.